This is Mac OS Ken.
Excitement around Apple's unknown, stories likely to raise questions, and 2 tales of Apple TV Plus. It is Monday, the 18th of October, 2021. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Headspace. Meditation made simple. Get a free 1-month trial at headspace.com/macOSKen. This show is also sponsored by SimpliSafe, the right way to protect your home. I've told you for years how easy SimpliSafe is to customize and install. Get just the units you need for the home protection that's right for you. Setting up mine was, yes, simple, and now they're taking that outside. SimpliSafe has launched their new wireless outdoor security camera with an ultra-wide 140-degree field of view, 1080p HD resolution with an 8x zoom. It has a built-in spotlight with color night vision, and of course, the ease of setup and use that makes SimpliSafe simple. It integrates with your SimpliSafe home security system, extending its protection to the outside. Protecting your home, inside and out. That's SimpliSafe. To learn more about the exciting new SimpliSafe wireless outdoor security camera, visit simplisafe.com/macOSKen. What's more, SimpliSafe is celebrating this new camera by offering 20% off your entire new system and your first month of monitoring service free when you enroll in interactive monitoring. SIMPLI. Again, that's simplisafe.com/macOSKen. With an Apple event just hours away as this is written, you will never guess which financial analyst is really excited. Of course you will. It's Wedbush analyst Daniel Ives. Apple 3.0 ran part of a note he wrote over the weekend, calling for new Macs and another round of AirPods today. Ives' note says, ironically, in the face of the biggest chip shortage seen in decades, Apple is launching 2 key products into holiday season, speaking to the company's confidence around getting its new Macs and AirPods into customers' hands by holiday season, despite the doomsday supply chain skeptics. That was one sentence. And he goes on. With Apple's new silicon chips front and center, Cupertino continues to refresh its hardware ecosystem across the board, with Monday a long-anticipated day for Mac Pro power users to finally get the new Apple chips on board. Most of the rest of the note is devoted to what he expects to see in terms of hardware, but why bother with that at this point? The event's in a few hours. Mr. Ives has an outperform rating on Apple shares. His price target on the shares is $185. In case you've lost track, Apple is pressing play on the media event today. Apple goes unleashed at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. You can catch the event on Apple's events page. A placeholder is turned up on both Apple TV and the Apple TV app. The company will stream the event on its YouTube channel. Post-event, it should be up as a video podcast and an audio podcast. The tech press and the Twitterati will be all over it. I'll be chatting up a few people on this week's editions of In a Few Minutes, and of course, we will hit the highlights here tomorrow. A story that is likely to raise a few questions. Okay, there are actually a few of those today. According to a piece from the Financial Times, Apple's implementation of app tracking transparency has led to a huge surge in Apple's own advertising business. In case you don't remember what that is, a piece from Macworld says app tracking transparency is a feature of iOS, iPadOS, and tvOS that requires applications to ask permission if they want to track your activity across other companies' apps and websites. Not surprisingly, when given the choice, lots of people said no, making it harder for advertisers to target individuals based on activity. But you know who can get iPhone users in the right place at the right time? According to the Financial Times, Apple's advertising business has more than tripled its market share in the 6 months after it introduced privacy changes to iPhones that obstructed rivals, including Facebook, from targeting ads at consumers. Apple would argue that what it's doing is protecting user privacy. Personally, I have no problem believing that. That said, suddenly making more money off of advertising after enacting changes that negatively affect the effectiveness of other advertising, that's the kind of thing that could raise a few questions. As for the numbers Apple is seeing, the report has the mobile tracking analytics firm Branch indicating that Apple's in-house business is now responsible for 58% of all iPhone app downloads that result from clicking on an advertisement. A year ago, its share was 17%. The same Financial Times piece has Evercore ISI guesstimating that Apple's ad business will go from $5 billion in fiscal year 2022 to $20 billion annually in the next 3 years. According to Evercore, app tracking transparency has significantly altered the landscape. Interestingly, the chief marketing officer of one app that apparently advertises with Apple says it's not clear that Apple is following its own rules around following consumers. The exec pointed to the retargeting tool, a service offered by Apple to let companies follow users to re-engage with them at a future date. Apple was unable to validate for us that Apple's solutions are compliant with Apple's policy, he said. Despite multiple requests and trying to get them to confirm that their products are compliant with their own solutions, we were unable to get there. A story that is likely to raise a few questions. Does it continue to be news when Apple does something it would not do in the US to comply with regulations in China? TechCrunch ran a report saying that Apple has removed the app Quran Majeed from the App Store in China in compliance with Chinese government requests. When I ask if this continues to be news, I'm not being flip. I'm asking a legitimate question. I thought about not doing this story, not because it's unpleasant, though it is. That's not why I thought about not doing it, though. I thought about not doing it because Apple pretty much has to do what China says in China if Apple wants to keep doing business in China. And currently, Apple kind of has to keep doing business in China. Not because it sells a lot of stuff there, but because most of the stuff made by Apple is made in China. That said, Apple complies with troubling laws in markets significantly less important to it than China. Just last month, Apple pulled the Smart Voting app, also known as the Navalny app, from the App Store in Russia at that government's request. The company also removed references to iCloud Private Relay from Russian-related documentation, indicating that the privacy-focused feature will not turn up there. In short, Apple follows local law where it does business. Does it continue to be news when it does so? As TechCrunch explains in its report on Quran Majeed, Apple has faced a lot of controversy over the years over how it complies with local rules. Critics believe many local content-focused regulations in certain countries amount to censorship, and Apple is too quick to comply. Apple argues that its first priority is to respect laws of the countries in which it operates, irrespective of whether or not it agrees with the regulations. The piece goes on to say that Apple's human rights policy states, "We're required to comply with local laws, and at times there are complex issues about which we may disagree with governments." And so the question, is Apple complying with local law still news? I am happy to have you weigh in on this question. info@macoscan.com or call 716-780-4080. And now a story that makes that last story look worse. Apple Insider highlights a Reuters report that says Apple is pushing back against new laws around App Store payments in South Korea. According to Apple Insider, The law, which was dubbed the anti-Google law by local media, bans both Apple and Google from forcing developers to utilize first-party payment systems for in-app purchases. Somehow Apple says it is already in compliance with that law. Or really, Apple is apparently saying that. Someone inside the Korea Communications Commission leaked Apple's alleged assertion, though they asked to remain anonymous because talks are still ongoing. The unnamed official says Apple's claim goes against the purpose of the amended law. Unfortunately, neither the Apple Insider piece nor the Reuters report on which it was based explain how Apple could be in compliance. Forgive me for speculating, but I think I figured out one argument that Apple might be able to make. Developers are not required to use Apple's payment system. They can take payments through their own websites and link those purchases to associated apps, the way Netflix, Amazon, Spotify, and others do. Of course, what South Korea wants is for Apple to open the App Store to direct payments or competing payment platforms. Maybe that's the crux of the argument. It's hard to see how that could be Apple's argument, though. When it was arguing against the then impending law last month, Apple said the proposed Telecommunications Business Act will put users who purchase digital goods from other sources at risk of fraud, undermine their privacy protections, make it difficult to manage their purchases, and features like Ask to Buy and parental controls will become less effective. That makes it sound like Apple thought then that it would have to change the way it accepts payments in the App Store. So how can it say now that it is in compliance? Assuming it did say that to somebody somewhere. This will be worth watching. More news in a moment, but first a word from Headspace. Meditation made simple. What if a few minutes a day was all it took to change your relationship with stress and anxiety, to transform your life for the better? I know that sounds like a lot to expect from an app, especially one as easy to use as Headspace. Our thoughts can be confusing enough. Meditation doesn't have to be. Headspace is your convenient dose of meditation, mindfulness, and sleep exercises to relieve stress and anxiety and help you get a good night's sleep, all in one app, making it easy to catch your breath and make time for your mental health. Since starting with Headspace, I've been amazed by the changes in my reactions to stress, to anger. For me, just a few minutes a day has made things better. Find some Headspace at headspace.com/macOSken and get 1 month free of their entire meditation library. This is the best Headspace offer available, so go to headspace.com/macOSken today. headspace.com/macOSken. Another potentially ugly story. Apple Insider says the leader of the #Apple2 group has been fired by the Cupertino company. Jogging the memory on the movement, the report says Apple2 was originally formed as a Discord channel created to raise topics of workplace harassment, discrimination, sexism, racism, and more. Within 4 days of it launching, Apple2 received nearly 500 reports of workplace issues at Apple. Now the purported leader of the movement has been let go. The report says Apple says the now former employee was fired for deleting files that reportedly included the apps Robinhood, Pokemon Go, and Google Drive, and by doing so, impeding an investigation. Not surprisingly, the piece says Apple staffers believe that the firing is actually retaliation for the employee's work organizing the group that talks about conditions within the company. Publicly, Apple seems to have said nothing on the issue. The workers' attorney has acknowledged that they are no longer with the company, but declined to say more at this time. Add another name you know to the growing cast of the Apple TV Plus series Wool. The Hollywood Reporter says rapper and actor Common has joined the cast of the dystopian sci-fi drama. The report reminds us what the show is all about. Based on Hugh Howey's best-selling trilogy of novels, Wool is set in a future dystopia where a community exists in a giant silo underground, hundreds of stories deep, where they believe they're protected from a toxic atmosphere. You may know Common from John Wick Chapter 2 or The Hate You Give. I know him from the TV series Hell on Wheels, in which he was awesome. He joins an already impressive cast that includes Rebecca Ferguson, Tim Robbins, Rashida Jones, and David Oyelowo. IMDb lists the series as filming. No word on when the show will land in Cupertino's stream. And finally today, if you're looking for a video about an Apple TV Plus film that tells you little more than the title of that film, look no further than the internet, specifically the YouTube part. iMore says Apple has released a new teaser for The Tragedy of Macbeth, a black and white film adaptation of the Shakespeare play. Directed by Academy Award winner Joel Cohen and starring Academy Award winners Denzel Washington and Frances McDormand, The Tragedy of Macbeth tells the story of an obscenely wealthy duck and his 3 adventurous nephews. Anyway, I think it does. Clocking in at under 1 minute, you may wonder what the difference is between a teaser and a trailer. Well, one is called a teaser, while the other is called a trailer. The Cupertino streamer has released one of each, both under a minute long. You can see the teaser for The Tragedy of Macbeth on YouTube. You can see the trailer on YouTube as well. And you tell me what the difference is. Filled to the top with talent and Academy Award winners, Apple seems to be eyeing Oscars for this one. The film will run exclusively in theaters for 3 weeks, starting on Christmas Day. It'll make its way to Apple TV Plus on Friday, the 14th of January, 2022. Coming up in a few minutes, new phones and watches and an Apple event planned for today. Brian Chaffin, editor-in-chief of the Mac Observer, drops by to hit it all. The show is called In a Few Minutes. Find it and listen wherever you find and listen to podcasts. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by SimpliSafe. Check out the new SimpliSafe wireless outdoor security camera and get 20% off your system when you go to simplysafe.com/macOSCan. This show is also sponsored by Headspace, meditation made simple. Get a free 1-month trial at headspace.com/macOSCan. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. info@macoscan.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.